The first thing I noticed was the way she looked at me, half embarrassed, half annoyed, when I walked into her office's summer barbecue. The sizzling smell of grilled burgers filled the air, but I couldn't breathe. All I could feel was the prickling sensation in my chest. The way her hand slid from mine, as if touching me was a mistake. People waved, laughed, clinking beer bottles, and she smiled, but it wasn't a smile I had loved for 10 years. It was rehearsed, polite, distant. This is my husband, Mark," she said, her voice tight, and she quickly turned back to a coworker, leaving me standing awkwardly. My stomach churned. Was I imagining it? Maybe she was just stressed about work. I told myself. But then I noticed the way she kept checking her phone, laughing softly at messages I wasn't part of, her eyes lighting up in a way they hadn't with me for months. I tried to shake it off. "Hey, mind showing me around?" I asked, forcing a grin. But she only gave a stiff nod, her eyes darting nervously. Something was off, and my gut screamed at me that this wasn't just stress. Later, I wandered near the edge of the picnic area, trying to calm my pounding heart. That's when her boss, Martin, appeared, a tall man with a calm, polished presence. "You're Mark, right?" he asked, extending a hand. His smile was easy, genuine. "I don't think we've met properly. Mind grabbing coffee sometime? I'd like to hear more about you outside of the chaos of work parties." I hesitated, caught off guard. Sure, why not?" My voice sounded foreign to me. Martin's smile lingered just a moment too long as he scribbled his number on a napkin and handed it to me. I didn't notice my wife's sudden shift in expression. Her hand froze mid-toast, her face paling ever so slightly. We left the barbecue early, ostensibly because I had an early morning, but my mind wouldn't stop replaying her strange behavior and Martin's lingering gaze. Back at home, I felt the familiar ache of suspicion creeping in. Questions I had buried for months clawed their way to the surface. Who was she texting with? Why did she flinch when Martin talked to me? Over the next few days, I tried to pretend nothing had happened, but I couldn't stop myself from noticing small details. Receipts from a cafe I'd never been to, whispered phone calls cut off when I entered the room, a sudden obsession with long work hours. I felt like a stranger in my own home. Finally, one evening, I followed her, quietly, carefully, like a detective in a noir film. My heart raced as she slipped into a downtown cafe, the same one Martin had suggested. I stayed in the shadows, watching as she greeted him with that same soft, intimate smile. My chest tightened. They didn't see me, but I saw enough. I waited until they left, trailing behind at a distance. The truth was unavoidable now. My mind spun with disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. The person I had trusted most in the world, the woman who had promised forever, was betraying me in the quietest, most calculated way. That night, I confronted her at home. She tried to deny it. "Of course. It's not what it looks like," she whispered, but I saw the shame in her eyes. Real shame. The kind that comes when someone is finally caught in the act. "Not what it looks like?" I asked, my voice trembling with controlled rage. "You acted embarrassed of me in front of your co-workers, laughed at his text behind my back, and now you expect me to believe it's nothing?" She looked down, silent. The weight of her guilt filled the room. And for the first time in years, I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just let the silence stretch, the truth heavy between us. I packed a bag that night. I didn't speak much. There was no need. The betrayal had spoken louder than any words could. As I walked out the door, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Clarity. Pain, yes, but also freedom. Weeks later, I met Martin for that coffee. Not with curiosity, not with naivety, but with the quiet confidence of a man who had been betrayed and had chosen his own path forward. He was surprised, of course, but the conversation was brief and civil. When I left the cafe, I realized something profound. I didn't need validation from her anymore. The life I thought I had built with her had ended, but my life, my dignity, my self-respect remained mine. And somewhere, deep down, I knew the shock wasn't for me taking control of my life. The shock would hit her when she realized she had lost me entirely, and there was no going back.